So if we look right and if we sound right, then we must be right. The whole Descartesian, I think, therefore I am, seems to be something that's pervading the spiritual community. And what you find is when you go on social media, you see these seriously long discussions going on with people trying, so hard to convince the other that they've got a better handle of reality, whatever that is, by waxing lyrical. And yet, if you look at some of the saints and sages that these people follow, they were essentially quite simple people who discovered this fundamental reality, this fundamental truth within themselves, and just talked quite simply about it. Because you wouldn't talk PhD level to a villager who was coming to you to just want to know what the meaning of life was, or just to find some sort of peace within their lives. But what seems to have happened now is, we've had certain teachers who refuse to, like use certain vocabulary because it was an authentic experience for them. So, for example, Papaji, didn't refer to himself in the eye. So then what you find is that you have people kind of cloning that, and it's not authentic to them. Rumi says it best when he says unfold your own legend. And I myself remember meeting a young man, and for about 10 minutes or so he quoted pretty much every Sufi writer from here to kingdom come. And it was great, and it was absolutely beautiful. But I remember at the end going, well, that's lovely, but what are you saying? And this is the thing, so there's this overwhelming desire now by people to to act right and to look right, and it's across traditions. And I'm not just picking out any one tradition. So I'm from the Islamic tradition. I was brought up a Muslim, and I walk into local mosque and I see people who look the part. And then when you have a conversation, what you find is invariably they're missing the internal experience, they're missing certain things, but God, they look the part. Again, the same thing, you'll see the non-dual community, you'll see people who will sound right, and they will say silly things like, well, who is asking and who is looking, and things like that. And it's like, get a grip, you sound ridiculous. Because the thing is, this duality is here for a particular reason. Honor it. Don't be trying to negate it completely, because if you're trying to negate the whole thing completely, you shouldn't really be speaking and you shouldn't really be here. And yet, inevitably, you are here. Duality is, in a sense, an invitation to awaken. And when we follow these practices and we follow these methods, and we try to look like the teacher, act like the teacher and everything, then all we're really doing, unless we realize what we truly are and become teachers in our own right, that's why Nisargadatta Maharaj once stated, I don't have students, I create gurus. We honor the authenticity in the teacher, and we honor the authenticity in ourselves. I was talking to a young man, and he said to me the other day, he goes, he'd read somewhere that you can never repay the teacher. Now, I strongly disagree. I believe you can, by becoming the teacher, by discovering this reality that you actually are already. And that doesn't mean having to sound right, act right, and look right, but have some sincerity and be authentic and be real. There's enough copying going on in the world. Whether we see it in popular culture, whether we see it within spiritual circles, and what you find is not many people will, like, in a sense, be like that child in the emperor's new clothes and just call everything out for what it really is and be telling the truth. So you get this greater fool theory. You're in a meeting, whether it's a non-dual meeting or a Sufi gathering, or a Buddhist monastery or whatever, and everybody's just looking to support each other. And yet, if you look at the teachers that you're following, they were essentially outcasts in their days. They were quite radical people, because sometimes you need to be radical in order to just tell the simple truth, especially in the times that we live in, where there's so much about this whole not rocking the boat and keeping the consensus ready. So be authentic, be real, call it out as it is. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Don't hide behind a uniform, and don't hide behind words. You know what I mean? Admit when you're going to make a mistake. I mean, I make some classics, but I'm cool with that. And what I found is this: I've learned more from my mistakes than trying to act and sound right. So this is more for those people who are kind of like trying to sound right, act right, and let's use the right terminology, because somehow that's going to get us closer. I don't think it will. Not when you turn your pointer into your God, and you stop looking at where the pointer is pointing to, or you're trying to defend my pointer is better than your pointer. I'm sorry, they're all equally valid. For some, there is a journey and it's valid for them. For some, it's be here and now. And the thing is, neither approach is better than the other, and it really does come down to the individual. And if we can honor that, that's it. Sometimes you find the simplest, most beautiful wisdom is in the simplest people who probably don't even understand half of what's being said. And that's what's needed now. And then more and more people would see what they are. Because what are you without your stories? What are you without your pointers? What are you without your dramas? Like I say to people, if you could come back from your past and you could see yourself talking like this, what do you think you'd make of yourself? When you're sitting there trying to be something, trying to fit yourself to a pointer as opposed to looking at where the pointer is pointing. Bruce Lee says it best in Enter a Dragon. It's something I always love quoting at talks when he goes, don't concentrate on the finger or you miss all the heavenly glory. So stop concentrating on the finger, stop concentrating on the finger and see where the finger is pointing, It really is as simple as that. Call a spade a spade. Yes, okay, sometimes you find people don't act right and they don't sound right, but there is something about them and you can see they're in that resonance. There's a great story, that I remember reading about. There was a sage in West Bengal whose name was just completely and utterly just gone. And it was something that UG Krishnamurti referred to as well. And this guy was like a fisherman from West Bengal somewhere, and he's obviously had this realization, and people come to see him, and his opening gambit would be like, "Who are you? Where you come from? What are you going to pay me?" And when they cleaned up his gospel, so to speak, there were so many swear words in it. It was incredible, and yet there was an authenticity about this man. And then you get people trying to discuss it and go into depths and sort of like, so well, I think this guy wasn't like this and he wasn't like that. Listen, don't concern yourself with that. Concern yourself for yourself. Are you done? Are you done? Have you finished and stuff? Because what you'll find is if you are what you say or you think you are, you will find an appreciation. Recently I've been meeting other teachers and they all have their expression on how to communicate this, and it is beautiful because I'm getting, and it's fundamentally adding to me and making me a richer person as well, and I'm hearing all these different descriptions on reality, and it's a beautiful thing. And you realize that yes, we are all pointing to the same reality, regardless of whether in the Middle East it may be called Sufism, in China it may be called Buddhism, in London it may be called non-duality, and in India it may be called Advaita. But we're all saying the same thing. But what's happened is because of where we are, our locations and everything, you know, we are like, in a sense, because of our locations, we are using what's in our immediate vicinity. Like I say, if Jesus was born in London, now would he be wearing those robes? No, he'd probably wearing a pair of jeans. He'd probably be wearing what he's wearing. So the thing is, trying to see the essence behind what is being said. Try and understand what's being said behind the words. What are they pointing to? And you'll be so much more richer because you'll find they're pointing towards you. There's a beautiful story, in the Sufi tradition where it talks about a man who wants grapes, and there's this group of men, they all want grapes. And the Sufi, the linguist, the master, the yogi, the Buddhist, or whatever, the one who realizes the essence and then is just comfortable to be what they are, is the person who understands that we're all actually saying the same thing. We're all pointing to the same thing. So let go of this description, your knowledge and what you think you know and everything, and just dive into that unknown. Let the drop of water hit the ocean. To either realize it is a drop of water, to realize it's the ocean. Again, it's irrelevant because words then die. Just be authentic, be real, be what you actually are, and you'll find you'll be in a much better place. Whether it's here and now it's realized, or whether it's some sort of a journey. Again, it's your story. It's what you are. So there you go. Have a good one. That's that for that. I'm kind of conscious of the fact I've not recorded a video for a while, but I've just not really felt the need or want to, because I'm now kind of running up and down the country, pretty much talking all over the place. So, if you're on my website or on my public page on Facebook, wherever, you'll see I'm kind of running around and having a real adventure and meeting my Facebook friends in the flesh, so to speak, and it's great because the discussions now are, in a sense, taking on a different flavor. They're so much more so much more intense, and it's nice. It's a real blessing to meet some amazing people on this little adventure that I'm having. So have a good one. Be good. If you like the video, please do subscribe. Always nice to meet new friends. And obviously, if you want me to record a video or anything, just drop us a line, or you just want to have a chat, say hi, whatever. Great, cool. Always like talking to people about this stuff. So have a good one, and I shall catch you on the next video.